got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody, or at least erstwhile, to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern and talk with a bunch of fans going. So it sounds pretty loud in here. I'm going to turn some fans off. Good evening. All right, I think that's the loud one. So let's see if anybody shows up tonight. Chat about guns instead of fear or what other people are doing or the way it should be or whatever. So we've got our spot out there. If you want to jump in, we can just go off air and chat about making stuff. Ozzy's out there. Good evening. Oh, I guess I didn't throw a link out there yet, so I'll throw a link out. This whole point of this show is to have a conversation about the, what do they call them things? Guns? Second Amendment, that kind of thing. So, oops, I guess I have to switch this over if I'm going to click on it. Screen sharing here on a giant widescreen monitor. I don't want anybody to be alarmed or concerned. That is an actual monitor. You're not seeing things. When you have a decent sized monitor, this is the kind of business you can pull. Oh, look at that. All right, so now we've got that thing going, and we'll see if anybody does anything tonight. So this show is not here to entertain you or to, I don't know, do anything. It's just here to be a conversation. So we throw a link out there. You can join if you want. Be part of the text chat. There's Bob out there, Ozzy, and erstwhile. So it's getting nicer out here temperature-wise. One of these days I'm going to be able to jump out there and start working on that robot again. I asked Angelina yesterday if she wanted it back. She don't want it back, so it's mine. Been working on other stuff, printing and whatnot. I'm a master printer now. So I guess if nobody's going to say nothing and nobody's going to do nothing, we'll just sit here quietly, appreciating what little time we have left. Let's see. The history deck. What is this all about? 4 documents that are missing. Okay. So let's see how I can print this. Can I print this? I guess I can print this. I think my goal was to print this out as a bunch of JPEGs. Wow, this still has a lot of work to do. I don't know if this is worth doing. I'm probably going to leave this project set. This was making basically baseball cards for 2A activists. But holy moly, that was a lot of effort. That was a lot of work right there. I can print it now. But that would be a cool looking deck to finish. Anyway, we'll close out of that one, so I'm not depressed by looking at all that work. And we'll go find something else. So let's go open over here. Yeah, so like I say, I'm not trying to do too much here except have a conversation. There we go. So there's a link out there if you want to be part of it. Otherwise, yeah, that's what we're here for. Bob's got no internet for 3 more weeks, and that's because of Canadian law. They're only allowed to have internet during the fall and winter. If they have internet during the spring, they do things on the internet that are embarrassing to Canada, and they don't want them doing that stuff. So I think it was back in 1994 that they made a law that said Canada can't be online during the middle of the summer. I guess it makes sense. They save some electricity. Bob's saying he has a kitten. Oh, that's a little kitten. You're rubbing a kitten belly. So hopefully the kitten belly is happening right now, or a kitten belly is being rubbed right now in Canada. I guess that's legal in Canada. I haven't seen any pictures of this thing. I'm going to go over to Instagram right now, see if there's any pictures of it. What's going on with this? There, you have a kitten and not have pictures of it on the Instagram. So I seen this the other day on Instagram. I posted on Instagram. I seen this the other day. Some son of a bitch from SWAT Glass, I guess. Some asshole, lazy son of a bitch. I look over as I'm waiting for the light to change. And I'm like, that's an expensive zip tie. It's like, holy crap. What kind of like royalty has like $6 for each of these zip ties, right? To hold this thing up. And then I'm like, what does this say? Cracked windshield, 2-night. I'm like, that's some kind of scam, right? And then I look a little bit and I'm like, you know what? The fuck? Like, they just covered up all the reflective tape in this intersection. So I'm guessing it's there so nobody wings into the stop sign or whatever it's on. I don't think it's really a stop sign. This is a sign that is like adjacent to the actual light, but still. I feel like if somebody was to careen into that or kill somebody who's standing next to it because they don't see the reflective part, I'm talking about at night or whatever, then I feel like this SWAT glass place should be liable. So I wrote on here that, and that horse typed on here. I was halfway thinking about tagging this place, but I didn't. Anyway, we're going over here to see if Bob has posted anything about that kitten. He says that it is a little black cat with no name yet. I had a little tiny black cat, and I had a name for it, and I'll tell you the name off here. I'll tell everybody in the world my name of my cat. I still don't see no picture. Are we funna? Are we funna? I don't think we're funna. We're not gonna. We're not gonna. All right, Bob didn't post one yet. Anyway, that's cool. I like having a little black cats. If I'm gonna have a cat, I'd like to have a little black cat. On the other hand, I wouldn't mind having a Siamese cat because I never had a Siamese cat. I think I've known people with Siamese cats. Rowcall's out there. You're welcome to jump in. I got a link out there. I don't know what yet Rowcall was saying, but he was certainly not. Well, that show is all about rant and rave, so he was ranting and raving for sure. I left though. I didn't know what he was yelling about, so I didn't want to guess. So I was just watching some interesting stuff about physics. Can't get enough of them physics lectures. They're good to listen to while you're working on other stuff because, I don't know, you don't have to really focus on them too much. Here's one thing I noticed. I came over here like a dingus and started working on this. Look at this. What the hell size is this? I don't even know what size this is, but it certainly ain't a half a piece of paper. So the first thing I got to do is go over here and figure out what in the hell units this stupid thing is in. So we got to go over here to preferences and then units and increments. And then whatever the fuck picas is, switch that to inches and then inches and then click OK. And then I can go over here now that I can see what the actual thing is, 8.5 by 11. I can't deal with that because that's a full sheet of paper. I ain't got that kind of money. So we're going to make it 5.5 by 8.5. So now it is actually the proportions of a piece of paper folded in half, like it's supposed to be. So I messed up one time doing the 50 states book, I think, where I did like basically the entire book in the wrong thing, and then I figured it out, and I'm like, damn it, and to do the whole, and to go back and shuffle everything and all. All right, I got the Chinese water torture going behind me, so I'm going to go turn off my faucet. What I normally do is just put this bucket underneath that leak, and then that way it eventually fills that bucket, and then I use that for other things, and it saves me time. But when it's not a bucket under there, it just turns into Chinese water torture behind my back, and it drives me nuts. All right, well, we still got 5 people hanging out here, not talking or doing anything. I don't know what's going on. Weird. Feel free to jump in, though. That's what it's all about. This is the creepy part. A bunch of creepy people are watching what I'm doing, not saying nothing, and I can't turn on the radio or nothing or act normal, like have a physics lecture going like a normal person because of the copyright, whatever it's called. Don't take it personal. I think it's just having an off day. Oh, you guys have it out in there? We can name Bob's cat for him. I like Gato because that's the way you say cat. I wonder how you say kid. Let's go find out how you say kitten. I probably don't. I'm not. Oh shit! What did I just close? I just closed something. What did I close? Oh, close this. Ninja! Ninja! Oh, look at that. I can just make it say ninja a bunch of times. Ninja! Oh, come on. Just kidding me? How about... Oh, come on. Stupid ass Gato. Gato. Cool. Now we'll go to translate, and then we go to kitten. And we go to Spanish. Gatita? Gatita. That's what I would call a little kid now. Gatita. So if I would say gatita, gatita, gatita. That's a good name for a little kid, little girl kid. And if it's a boy, gatito. Oh, gatito. Say that when he's bad. And then you can say, gatita, when she's good. Oh, it's a boy. So, gatito, gatito, gatito. And that's easy to say. Your thoughts on wonderful little micro machines? What are we talking about? Anamorphic pixels? So we're talking about anamorphic machines? What happened to that? Anyway, micro machines are okay. I guess we had handfuls and handfuls of them. Go over here and type it in. So for you people that don't know what a micro machine is, first it was Matchbox cars. Those were like for old people because they were made out of lead or something. And all those old people used to suck on their Matchbox cars made out of lead, and then they got weird, so they quit making Matchbox cars out of lead, and they started making them out of some other materials. But they were made out of metal, and you could wing them at people, and it would hurt, so it probably costs money. So then at some point they said, well, you know what? If we make them half the size and make them out of plastic, it won't cost nothing to make them. We'll just get slave labor to have to paint all the little details on there. And then we'll sell them just like if they were Matchbox cars. We'll cut them into thirds and we'll sell them like if they're a whole Matchbox. Or we'll sell two of them like they're a Matchbox car. So basically that's what they did. So they're little tiny Matchbox cars made out of plastic instead of metal. And let's see, I'm getting them mixed up with penny racers a little bit. Penny racers were cooler. So Micro Machines didn't do nothing for the longest time except be tiny. So you could lose them, or you could have like a handful of them in your pocket, I guess. And you couldn't buy like one. You had to buy like 6 at a time or something. So that's the other problem. I only cared about a couple, like everybody. Who cares about every single one? So you'd have to buy like 5 or 6 to get the one you wanted, or maybe you'd have to buy like 12 to get 3 that you wanted or something dumb. I don't remember trading them, but these were past my time. These were for younger kids. We had between Matchbox cars and Micro Machines was penny racers. So that was a little bigger than a Micro Machine, between a Micro Machine and a Matchbox car, but it had spring-loaded wheels. It had like a machine in there. So you could put a penny in it, pull it back, and it would shoot across your desk and get you in trouble. Whereas a Micro Machine, you'd have to instigate getting in trouble. Like you had to be a dumbass to get in trouble. With a penny racer, you could just be minding your business and get in trouble without even doing anything. Like it would just be out of your control. So we had real hard times when I was a kid. Micro Machines made easy. But the other thing is they're too little. Like who the hell can look at a Micro Machine? Even with little baby kid eyes, you can't see what the hell's going on in a Micro Machine. There's no figures or nothing for them. So they weren't my thing. That's my thing. What about barbecue? He's in here. He's a youngin' though. Do you even know what we're talking about here? Do you know what a Matchbox car is?
Yeah, I preferred Matchbox cars over Hot Wheels because they were cheaper by like 10 cents.
Oh, well, I guess that's just dependent on your store maybe or something. I don't remember knowing if there was a difference until later on in my life. Because when I was a little kid, I would just be like, I want that car. And then I didn't know what brand it was. I was just getting a car.
Yeah, like I'd always want a car, and Hot Wheels always had the better ones over Matchbox, and then my mom would be like, "Oh, you can get a Matchbox car." I'm like, "I don't want the Hot Wheels," and she'd be like, "You can get the Matchbox car," because, like I said, they were like 10 cents cheaper, and apparently 10 cents mattered when I was growing up, which I have no idea what my parents' finances were like then. But then even as I got older and I was buying them myself, I was like, oh, well, I like the Matchbox cars anyways, and they're cheaper, and this is my own money now. I'm getting the cheaper one.
But so another thing is that these little Micro Machines, their whole deal was that, hey, buy like this toolkit or this gas bag, like this gas can, and that would open up into a little Barbie play set, so you could act like some kind of like, what do they call that when you go back and forth between divorced parents? Like, here, take your toys with you and go away. So like Matchbox cars, you just got a bunch of Matchbox cars and then you went out in the dirt, or maybe a dead tree or like a bush or something. Like you went somewhere and you played with your Matchbox cars.
Yep.
With these bullshit ass Micro Machines, you basically went in your room or you sat on a couch and like it's like fake ass toys. Like your whole little play set was right there. Like these little kids didn't need nothing. They had everything. Little services, roads, everything.
I remember seeing commercials for Micro Machines when I was, I was really young. And say it's probably towards the end of the whole Micro Machines craze, because by the time I hit double digits in age, I don't remember them really being around at all. But like I remember seeing the commercial. I'm like, those things look awesome. My mom's like, yeah, you're not getting those, because I guess they were expensive, and she's like, you're gonna lose them because they're so small, and she's gonna step on them, and typical mom stuff. I'm pretty sure they're still making Matchbox cars too, but they don't have nearly the shelf space as Hot Wheels do. Another one I really liked growing up were Johnny Lightnings.
Oh, I'm sitting here talking to the fucking mute. So yeah, I know one of them bought the other. I watched that show, The Toys That Made Us, and one of Hot Wheels bought Matchbox or vice versa. So that's why, they probably are playing their brand over the one they bought.
Makes sense.
Dang, I said a whole bunch of shit off the mute, I think. But anyway, Angelina was out there wondering what printing is. Bob is out there saying he likes Stomper. So yeah, that's true. So there was Matchbox cars. Here, let's see if we can get like Matchbox, micro machine, Stomper, and penny racer. Probably missing a couple in there, but those were the big different ones. So let's see if we can. Is there anybody going to have all those put together? Dang, that would have been good. That would be the kind of picture the internet needs for this kind of situation. So if we go to just everybody knows what Matchbox is. We're not worried about micro machines we just looked at. So penny racer is just a little bit bigger than a micro machine. We're going to take a look at that one real quick. Boom. So they're a little bit bigger than a penny, and the Corvette was the best one. I remember having every single one of these ones I just looked at right now. So they were pretty awesome. But the main thing is you pull them backwards. They had little rubber tires and everything. You pull them backwards and let go. There's like a spring motor in there. They go flying. And if you put a penny in them, they pop a wheelie. If you don't put a penny in them, they don't pop a wheelie. So nobody puts a penny in them. That was just for crap. So anyway, they were way better than micro machines. But then this happened. And everything else can go fuck itself. This has 2 AA batteries in it, and it was a car. Like it drove. Like you just turned it on and it went straight. And that was amazing. This was amazing. I had this Brat one for damn sure. That was the smallest one. I had a couple of trucks. Never bothered with a Jeep. I think somebody had a truck, but I didn't have it. But this stuff was the best. So do you remember these at all? You ever seen one of these?
No, I don't remember those.
Yeah, Stompers was the shit. Now this is some fake Stomper with a shifter in it. That's later bullshit. The first Stompers was basically this was the first Stomper, something like this. And it had like these foam tires and a little motor in there and a AA battery. That's what it looked like inside. And a sandbox, a couple of Stompers. Boom, you're done. That was it. That's all you needed. You're done. You don't need any other crap. Stomper was the best shit ever. I guess this is what it looked like in a package. I guess it was one AA battery. It's even better. Yeah, I don't know why Stompers aren't still a thing. It should be the best, literally hands down, best toy ever. Because this was James Bond shit. This was back when a remote controlled car was like they didn't even have remote controlled cars back then. Like that was you could get shitty remote control cars with like a wire on it, and they were shitty, but like nothing like a 4-wheel drive remote control car. This was amazing. And then you got this little dumb thing to drive on, but nobody drove it. This was the beginning of micro machines. Like nobody bought this. You just go outside and play with sticks. Yeah, they were the best. Anything else else going on? Patriot says he's too old for Micro Machines. Oh yeah, everybody was too old for Micro Machines. Those were the 90s or something. They were probably like Matt's era. Rowcall was sounding like the guys that sell Micro Machines at the end of his chat. Oh, is he still out there? He didn't want to jump in. He's still cooling off or something.
He was having some really bad audio issues at the end.
All right, well, so there was a little side note on cars of the days. I don't remember Stompers. Stompers were like late 80s, mid to late 80s probably. It'd be old. And they were definitely for a while. They lasted for a long time. I'm trying to think what kicked Stompers out. Probably Radio Shack actually making remote control cars. Like once you could steer a remote control car, the Stomper was shitty. But for a while there, holy moly. And I was just the right age. Like that was just when I was almost getting too old for Matchbox cars already. And then Stompers happened. Okay, I can hold off for a minute. Still like cars. Mainly because back in those days, if they were digging a hole, because they dug holes for some reason all the time, probably installing all the infrastructures. So when they would just dig a hole, they just dug a hole and leave. Like they didn't care. You know, like for like if it was going to take like 3 days to do something in that hole, they would just leave the hole. You know, like if it was in a neighborhood or whatever, just leave a hole. They figure everybody's going to see the hole. It's a pile of dirt next to it. There was never a cone, never any kind of like, gate or fence or nothing. Like if they dug a giant hole, they'd dig a giant hole. So we almost always had a giant hole we could go play Star Wars figures or Matchboxes in. And I'm talking big holes where they would bring a backhoe in and like be pulling out a sewer. I don't know what the hell they'd be doing, but like really big holes. And we would just, that would be the best, man. You'd have like all that dirt and stuff to make roads and shit on. And then Stompers, you could then have a thing that would drive down the roads. That was amazing. It was like having slot cars anywhere you wanted outside. Bob wasn't watching yesterday. Angelina is jumping into a new luxury pad. So she's amidst moving to a new luxury location. What little orange car? I didn't see a little orange car. And any of them still made in Hong Kong. I'm sure everything's still made in Hong Kong. Unless you're talking about business cards, because our business cards are made in California, from what I understand, not Hong Kong. All right, so we can get back to naming Bob's cat, I guess. Oh, wait, is this Bob's cat now?
I still say you need to name it Gatito Negro.
Oh, snap. Yeah, that's a nice looking little kitten. So Bob's going to ruin it. It's probably going to be mean to it or something. Yep, that's a nice little looking kitten. I don't know about if you're going to be driving with it. When I had my little kitten like this, I started putting a little harness. So I don't know what it was for. A gerbil or maybe a kitten. I don't know. It was like a little tiny harness made out of maybe even quarter-inch nylon strap with just little buckles. So it didn't hardly weigh nothing. And I put that little thing on there, and then the rest of its life, like it didn't care about having a harness at all. It was just like, okay, cool. If I got a harness on, it means we're going somewhere. And that cat went everywhere with me. Well, at least it went on quite a few road trips with me. Well, I guess I shouldn't click on that while we're screen sharing here.
It's probably a good thing that Bob got the little black kitten when he did, because if it would have been during hockey season, little black kittens get mistaken for hockey pucks up in Canada.
Spooky, that'd be a good one. I like names that you can yell, right? So if the kitten or whatever is out running around, you can go there and yell for it instead of something that's like blah, 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 like 7 syllables or something where you can't really yell it. All right, well, so like I say, we're, I guess I can screen share again. Here to have a conversation. So, if anybody's got anything, we got 8 people out there. People are kind of chatting tonight, chatting about stompers.
Did you ever get to experience Johnny Lightning's?
What?
Johnny Lightning, little Matchbox style cars.
No, I have no idea.
Those things were awesome because the hoods would open. They had little rubber tires on them and stuff.
Oh, okay. No, I had a couple of Matchbox cars over the years that would have like opening doors, and for a minute that was cool as shit. Like everybody, really thought that was nifty at first. But then if you actually played with your cars, you'd have to have like the one that you wanted to be nice, and then the other. Well, no, even then, you didn't. Nobody really bothered. There was this one convertible that was kind of cool with opening doors, and there was like 2 trucks I can't remember. But the problem is, after a little while, the springs would break on the doors, and they'd flop open all the time. So if you really like that car, after a little while, the doors would flop open, and you'd have to do something like glue the doors shut or throw it away or something because you couldn't uh, play with it anymore. Every time you moved it, the doors would open all the time. So it was stupid.
Yep.
Well, they were neat, but they, like say, unless you were just looking at them, they weren't good for playing with. Really. Same thing with the hoods. The hoods weren't so bad, but those were back in the days. Like I guess some people were nice to their toys, but when you're done playing, you just throw them in actually leave them, and somebody would throw them in a pile probably, or your mom would throw them in a box or something. So those things were getting beat up all the time. Oh, God, I went in here and edited this thing, so now I got Yeah, exactly. I had a cat that would ride on my shoulder when on the horse, so pretty much same thing. Didn't like the horse, so it went up on my shoulders to be furthest away from it. Till after a while, it didn't care anymore, and then it just started riding on the top of the horse. On a motorcycle, I imagine it would want to hold on a little bit harder, though. Have a little more incentive. Is that the big ass ones that are like size of a lunchbox? I had a guy that I worked with for a while that had a ton of those. I didn't even know it was really a thing. I mean, I had seen them before, but I didn't realize they were a collectible thing until I met that guy. And then that was the first time I ever seen somebody with like a room where their entire wall was these cars. It's like, holy crap. And then years later, I think I worked, or was it before? At some point, I worked at this gas station where they had them. I think if it's the size I'm thinking about, just different things like gas trucks and weird trucks. And I don't think there was any construction equipment, but it was different gasoline related things from like different eras. And they would have those out at, I think, Christmas. And people would come in and, man, they really appreciated those things.
Ozzy, if you ever decide to get rid of those, make sure you find the right buyer. Don't just like yard sale them or anything. Those things are going for some serious money if they're some of the ones from the 90s.
Oh, Hot Wheels signs. Okay. Well, I see a bunch of people now that are taking and buying cars, never taking them out of the container, and then just tacking them to their wall, like what Matt does with his old dolls. Doesn't make any sense. But I guess if that's how you want to, I guess for $1 or whatever, they cost $1. But I don't know. I don't even think I would do that. I would go to some, what do they call those things, like clear out places where they offload them, and I would just root through there, getting them for 60 cents or 50 cents or something. But that makes sense. I bet you they do one for each NASCAR, right? Like every time there's a NASCAR race, they got a matchbox for each one of them, so everybody can have their own car. I feel like they should do that for other sports, and there should be little football players that you can get, little football player dolls, and then like little basketball player dolls, little football or what else is there? Hockey player dolls, whatever else, and then have like little arms and knees and shit, so you can play dudes playing sports. Look, I'm a millionaire playing a game. Nice. This book's a little less interesting than the last one, but it's ready to go. I'm done. I'm pretty good at making books now. I made this one in less than an hour.
Did you get to test run the printer yet?
Didn't even have to, so I just kept being cheap and not changing it, and then running pages just to see, like, I'm going to run one more. I'm going to run one more. So I just kept running off pages, like single one page at a time type of thing, and figuring out, because my other printers would, let's say, run out of yellow and then everything looks weird, or run out of green and everything starts looking weird or whatever, right? So it didn't do that. It just got to a point in the middle of a print, like a middle of a multi-page thing, and everything was looking crisp and good. All the colors were good. And it just says, nope, I'm not doing it anymore. You got to change the yellow. So I changed just the yellow. Then it went, all right. And then it just sat there for a minute cooking and probably spitting a bunch of yellow out. And then boom, it went right back to printing. You know, it picked right back up in the middle of that print file or whatever you want to call it, like print session. And a little while later, it said the same thing, like, nope, I'm not going any further until you change that red one or the blue one out. So I changed the blue one out. So it's awesome. So not only can I can literally run it until it runs out of a single color, and then it'll just stop mid-production and say, hey, replace that color I'm out of. It basically starts bitching really fast, like a long time before it actually runs out. And then when it runs out, it just, like I just said, so I'm really digging that. And, knock on wood, I got 2 of the generic ones in there, and they seem to be working just fine. So now the test would be to try to. It's going to be tough to know how many prints I'm getting out of a third-party thing, because I'm not switching them all at the same time. So I can't just say, here, now it's all, they're all empty, and now they're all full again. Because now it's like one. I guess the red is empty, and the blue and the yellow are full. I don't know where the black one is. But anyway, I'm really digging that. So being an expert printer just got even easier. So Angelina picked the wrong time to jump out of this business, because now the printers got to where they do all the work for you. I just got to sit here raking in the money. And I don't even think I got to rake in the money anymore. I'm just going to start printing money, because I don't have to waste my time printing something to sell to people. I'm just going to print money.
Heck yeah.
I can print the front and back of pieces of paper now. So I'm done. Sucker. I'm probably going to print 20s and 5s and 10s, to use for buying things.
You just run me off like a bunch of ones.
I suppose. I'll charge $3 per counterfeit one. I don't have the same price structure as typical counterfeiters.
That's all right.
My stuff's going to be quality. Now that I'm an expert printer, I'm going to have that quality. I probably shouldn't talk about doing that. I'm talking about Canadian money, which doesn't count as real money. We're talking about Bob's money up there. Basically like Monopoly money. On a Hooters car, is there somebody pushing their boobs up against the window from the inside?
The Hooters car, isn't that what's his face? I think he died. Was that Kowicki?
Somehow we're 40 minutes into this show. We haven't really talked anything about 2A. Get all pissed about something real quick. Mike Cat. But anyway, it's Every Second Matters. Nobody really did any shows about it, I don't think. A couple of people mentioned it. It's interesting to hear what people think Every Second Matters is anymore, but it is what people think it is, I guess. So it's interesting, I guess, to see what Every Second Matters is becoming. But I'll just leave it at that. It's interesting.
My video finally uploaded. Oh,
I see the thumbnail for it.
Yeah. It was, I want to say it was like 8 or 9 o'clock. It was late. But then after Rick's chat, a bunch of us were talking in the post chat, and apparently I wasn't the only one having issues uploading anything, so I didn't feel so bad.
I'm saying use a 3D printer for the things, but I've got this cutter, so I'm hoping I can whittle them out of, I don't know, what you guys use for money. Whatever the metal is used for money, I'll get some of it, and then I'll just whittle out your coins.
Gonna make some balloons.
Guns. I don't know where you mean. Either in America or in North America. Yeah. But definitely, I guess. Silver and gold. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up. I don't like all the silence, and it seems like we're wasting everybody's time. So there's people out there chatting. Bob's doing a good job of chatting. People feel free. When I shut it down, things still is up half the time. We shut it down. We're in here bullshitting for a while, so feel free to use those links. And if you're shy or scared to jump on live or whatever, then you can click on them links and join in after. Worst that happens is there's nowhere there to let you in. I think when you're off air or when you're in the green room in one of these things, you can hear what's happening live, right? Like you know if there's people in there chatting, I think. But anyway, feel free to jump in if you want. Otherwise, aside from Bob bragging about all their gold and silver up there. That's because you all get a bunch of gold and silver teeth, and then you all have that rule where if you both agree to it, you can just fight. So there's all them teeth laying around on the floor, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say those darn hockey fights. Never understood why they try to undress each other when they're fighting. Hey, we're fighting. Want me to take your shirt off for you? Yeah, sure. That'd be great. Thanks.
Well, because they've got so much shit on it, wouldn't even effectively hit the other guy, I don't think, right? They got to get down to where they're actually punching a person and not 7 tons of pads. And I don't know what the gloves. I think the gloves is so they don't hurt the other dude.
I feel like you'd almost want to leave the gloves on because, like, I've felt hockey gloves and they are hard. Like they're gonna.
I think they would hurt somebody. I think they take them off because they would hurt the other person. If you hit them right in the regular face with a hockey glove, like that'd kick the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Especially, like on someone, who's got his hand in it, where it's, going to have all that force. Yeah.
Let's say.
But I've seen hockey. I don't even think I've been in a hockey room, whatever they call the place where hockey takes place in. I've been in one of those, but not during a hockey game ever. And then, like, I've seen ice before, but I've never even considered going to a hockey game. And I think when we were little kids, like, it would freeze sometimes and people would play hockey, but it was more like 4 people, 2 of them would have ice skates, and one person would have like a stick or something instead of an actual hockey stick because nobody had. We were the kind of place that anybody would buy hockey equipment, so it wasn't a thing. Like we would act like we were playing hockey on a frozen pond, but it was again like a rock or a brown paper bag and then like some sticks. It wasn't ever like actual hockey, and nobody knew what any rules were. We were just smacking something around on ice just to be on an excuse to be on ice. But I have no idea what you guys are talking about when you're talking about hockey stuff.
Yeah, I talk a lot of shit on it, but I actually really like hockey.
I know two people, I guess, and they just mostly went, I think, because it was an excuse that they could give their wives to go to a place once a week and then drink beers there. But I don't think either one of them knew the rules more than I did.
Like my high school that I went to has 7 or 8 state hockey championships, and then apparently they just got bored, so they actually joined a semi-pro league. So the high school I went to, they can't even play for any state championships anymore. So needless to say, I didn't play hockey because it was a rich kid sport.
Yeah, by us, you had to not only be able to pay for all the stuff, but then they always played inside. So they played like in places that would cost rental, I guess. They cost money.
Yep. Yeah, there's the cost of just traveling to the games because it's not like every high school has their own hockey team. So the schools are spread out and stuff. And like you said, just paying for the equipment and stuff like that, and running the ice time because typically the schools don't own the ice or anything, so they gotta pay for that. It's very expensive.
Like I just knew them from like scouts or civil air patrol or something, and those kids would freak out if they were like anything ever conflicted with a hockey thing. Like that was like all their Christmas presents and birthday presents. Like they could never miss a hockey practice because that was like more than their church. They loved it. And they probably just reach down and grab a big piece of gold and start whacking each other with that. So that's why they got to leave their helmets on. Did you get kicked out?
No, my son didn't want to sleep in his bed, so he's laying in my bed and he's rolling around and smacked the exit button.
All right, well, threatened to shut it down, and then we sat around talking about hockey, which, as I just explained, I could almost care less about. So we're talking about hockey, not a gun gym. So it's every second matters. So what we didn't do this week was, have a whole bunch of conversations sprout up about different types of not confrontations, but experiences or contacts or I know a couple of people that will go to the live chats and talk about people that they take to the range, taking new people to the range. There's a couple of people that do that. I think that hang out in these audience of these chats. I don't really see too much of that. Don't see a lot of pictures. Just kind of like putting it out there as a reminder, which was one of the other goals of it, was just to keep it on people's minds. So it's frustrating and discouraging, but what are you going to do? And what else? We got gun rights policy conference coming up this month, and it's going to be virtual. They say be out of their control, and that means nobody is getting together to get together and meet up. and have all these conversations. The neatest part about gun rights policy is that it happens out of state for everybody, pretty much. You know, a couple of lucky people, since it travels, a couple of lucky people are usually nearby, but for the majority, everyone's there on travel, so they're in hotel rooms and stuff. And since it happens in a conference room of a hotel, typically, most people just stay right there. So that makes it very convenient, very conducive to having a lot of effective conversations. When you think about a conference that starts at 9 in the morning and ends at 5, with a paid for lunch and everything, so nobody has to go anywhere unless they want to. It lets you get up. 9 o'clock isn't super early, so it lets you get up and do your thing and get ready, and then you're not really putting out much effort to sit there and be part of this conference during the day. So then at 5 p.m., most people don't go to bed at 7. Bob's probably the only guy that goes to bed at 7 or 8 p.m. because of his oldness. But most people stay up past 5 p.m. So they open up sort of a meet and greet, chat type of get together, whatever. They'll open up like a section of the hotel and just have everybody, is welcome to bullshit and chat. And that part is amazing. Like I say, that facilitates just all kinds of interesting stuff. They'll feed everybody eventually, so there's no real incentive for people to ditch out of there to leave. So from my experience, it's a vast amount of people, somewhere around 400 people sometimes. They're not all in that thing Friday night or Saturday night, but a lot of them are. And I don't, the number that are there is probably, some percentage of them are in the hotel rooms having, quieter, more strategic meetings, private meetings. So I know about some of those, and I can only assume there's even more. So anyway, that was, that's going to be happening virtually this year. So we're losing a lot of potential that we would normally have. And of course, that also means we have a lot of opportunity, but again, being every second matters. The month of the Gun Rights Policy Conference, it's sad to see so few people taking it upon themselves to do something to raise awareness with their audiences or whatever. It's engagement, but I'm allowed to observe, when there's a lack of participation. So that is what it is. We've got a community that bitches and moans whenever we're slighted, and we watch what other people are doing constantly, but we have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of potential, and nobody's going to give it to us, and nobody's given us a recipe. We're going to have to figure it out ourselves, and just like anything, we have to figure out the motivation to get it to work, that kind of stuff, I think. So with that, I think we'll end our Second Matter show for September, and we'll back to pick you up later. Thanks, Barbecue, for jumping in. Thanks for joining us, Bob and Ozzy and Biker Bob, and Pants is out there a little bit. DTP's out there. Angelina was out there. She ditched out of here after she realized that her business is going under because I'm taking over printing. Patriot's out there. And I don't know if I said Ozzy already. And, well, I don't know if Rowcall stuck around. He probably just came in here to look at Barbecue with angrily. And then Erstwhile was in here at the beginning. And like I say, if you want to jump in and chat about projects, soon I'll be putting all this bullshit Second Amendment crap behind me and just start working on machines and robots, start servicing the robots. So I guess with that, we'll be back to pick up later.